Assalamu alaikum everyone. In this section of video, in this episode, in fact, we are going to study how we are going to plot a graph for question number one. Okay, graph is again an important part. You must remember one thing, that graph must be plotted with pencil. Even in the table of result video, you can present your table with pencil, with pen, or even with pencil, doesn't matter. But graph has to be provided as with the graph must be provided with the working with a pencil. Okay, now how to plot a graph. First of all, this is a Cambridge paper I have mentioned here. This is taken from May June 2025 series, a latest exam series, and this document is exactly the same way the document will be provided to you. The graph paper will be attached in the question paper. It is not given to you in a form of loose sheets. And once you spoil the graph paper, no other loose sheets will be provided. Hence, you will lose all the marks against this graph portion. Okay, so be very careful. There is no situation where you can put a reverse gear, go back, correct your mistake and come forward. Not at all. No scene at all. So be very very careful. You do not have to write anything here on the barcode area, right? Okay, and below this line you can use this space, you can use this space. If I have this facility right now, I don't think so. Let me check in the settings. No. Sometimes what happen right now, it is an A4 size paper and this is a portrait axis. In Word, you know you have a facility to turn the page by 90 degree so that it can comes under landscape. Sometimes students wish to plot a graph, but they found that, sorry for this, but they found that the x-axis is not enough for whatever in their mind for selecting an axis. So they try to rotate the graph paper, make this area as an x-axis and this area as a y-axis. Again, doing this way you will lose all the marks from the graph paper, from the graph portion. Okay, so do not do that. All right. Okay, now if you look at carefully, this is called a one big box, which is a large one, large, medium box, medium box, and finally the smallest one, a small box. Three sizes of boxes will be given to you. If I just talk about the large boxes, these large boxes on an x-axis, this is an x-axis here, right? These are 8, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and these are 1 2 3 dot 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 till 12 boxes. You will always be given 12 boxes on y-axis and 8 boxes on x-axis. Usually a full graph as per the expectation will lead you or let you score 4 marks out of 20. Among 4, one is for the axis marks, 1 mark for the axis, then a plotting mark, then a quality of plot mark, and final mark is for the line of best fit, LB, line of best fit. These are the distribution of these 4 marks. Sometimes they give you axis, they give you plot and a line of best fit directly. They ignore quality mark. Sometimes it happens. All right, so this is how you are going to read the boxes, and you have to somehow choose an axis so that you will cover out of it 6 boxes, which is a very good selection criteria. Otherwise you can take 5 out of 8 boxes, minimum 5, maximum 6, or maximum 8, obviously minimum 5. Below 5 you might lose a mark for an axis. Similarly on y-axis, right, out of 12, 8 boxes you should cover on a minimum note, or in case of emergency you can also take even 7 boxes. But going below 6 out of 12, again you there's a huge chance of losing a mark for the access here, this one. Okay, you should remember this. All right, one situation, and if you have something in mind you can put it in the comment section. I take like 10 boxes out of 12 here, that's fine, and I take 8 out of 5 boxes out of 8, again fine, no harm. You will not get lose a mark on it. Okay, that's how you are going to cover the boxes. Okay, this is done. Okay, the next important thing is what values I will going to plot here. At the moment I do not have a table, but if I just go back and like see, this is a table, one of the table, right? Starting x has to be plotted, x has to be, record the value of x. I didn't mention it. Okay, but it will be mentioned. Okay, hold on. Yeah, that was mentioned here. Like v2 upon v1 must be plotted on y-axis and x on the x-axis. So it means since I have only the values for x and v1 v2, so x will be first of all labeled x-axis with a proper SI unit, and L1 under root plus L2 under root, comma, like this one, and centimeter power half. Even you can write here and here as well. If you forget to put a labeled on x-axis, again you will lose a mark on axis. I'm talking about the axis right now. Okay, so choice of boxes, selecting the number of boxes, then putting a label, these will again comes under the category of axis mark. Okay, third important factor. All right, my x was starting somewhere near 29 and finishing somewhere at 80s. So I might start my axis right away, let's say like from 25, instead of starting from 0. It is not necessary. Always remember from where your data starts. Data starting from 29.3 finishing at 84.1. So your axis will start near to 29. Similarly, for the values of v1 and v2 starting from 0.424 finishing at 1.148. I will start the y-axis from 0.4. Okay, and in doing so you should remember one thing. 25, let's say 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, 85 and 95. It's 35, it's 45. I am taking a gap of 10. Now that's 0.4 and I have to go till 1.1 somewhere. So I might, let's count, for instance, 4.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8, 0.9, 1.0, 1.1, and I have a value bigger than 1.1 even, so I can take this box. How many boxes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I am taking a gap of, like 0.1, 0.1, 0.1, 0.1. Now, take my advice. I'm giving you an idea of selecting the values on x-axis with what gaps. I have taken a gap of 10, 10, 10 on x-axis and 0.1, 0.1 and on x-axis, keeping one thing in my mind, and I used to call it a magic number. Magic numbers for axis. If you select a gap of 1, 2, 5, 10 on priority basis, means a gap of 1 or a gap of 2 or a gap of 5 or gap of 10. These are called the 4 magic numbers. You should keep this in mind. Selecting these numbers, any one of it, for any axis, either x or y, or maybe in other shape. For example, instead of 1 I might take 0.1, instead of 2 I might take 20, instead of 5 I might take 0.05, instead of 10 I might take 1000, even 100, right? I can do that. But you can see one common factor, all are the multiples of 1, 2, 5, 10. There are some other multiples as well, but you have to only take the multiples in this fashion: 1.1, 10, 100, 1000, 0.01, 0.001. Similarly for 2, 5 and 10. After that, still if you find difficulty in fitting an axis, then you can take 2.5 as well, a gap of 2.5 and a gap of 4. But selecting a gap of 3, 7, 9, 6, 8, all these gaps, if you select all these gaps on x-axis or on a y-axis, you will lose a mark for axis. And final note, since it is not starting from the origin, so you can label FO, false origin, fake origin, FO. These are the instructions for the axis, guys. Okay, now you have to make a plot. Plot means you have to put mark as per the coordinated value from the table. Now, if you make a mark such that the mark is, like maybe you have this in mind, examiner might wear glasses like me and it has a vision problem, so he might not able to see properly my plots. So why not if I just like this, one plot is this way and this way. It is clearly mentioned in the mark scheme that if the plot made by the candidate is greater than the half thickness of this tiny box, small one, which was the small one, remember that? Okay, sorry. If this is half thickness and your plot is even under the half thickness of the smallest box, that plot is fine. Okay, but if it goes beyond that, sorry, okay, let me just make further more thinner line. This is the line and this is my plot. But if my plot crosses this line like this, is greater than the half thickness, I might lose a mark of plot. Okay, so you need to make a proper dot, and you have two methods, by the way: a dot with a circle, otherwise you can put a cross in the box, but the cross should be made on a diagonal basis. I will explain you in a while what does it mean, the diagonal basis. Okay, now there is an example. I have made a graph, axis, plot, quality and a line of BuzzFeed. All the points are being mentioned here. It's starting from false origin 29, 39, 49, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, something like that, and you can see a dime. Well, you can see one thing, one plot, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. My all the plots are in a very in a very manner of scattering, like one below the line, above the line, on the line, again on the line, above the line, perhaps might be below the line, but it's again going quite far away from the line. So I might label it a circle, like I have mentioned a circle, and label it as anomalous point or anomaly. In this case, we can consider your line of best fit drawn for 5 points and we can skip this point. But if you do not label it, we will consider a part of the line of best fit and you will lose a mark for the line of best fit. So plots or the crosses must be here and there on the line, right? And then you can have a line of best fit. If you draw a line like this, you have 1 point, 2 point, 3 point, 1 point, 2 point, 3 point. Line of best fit mark will not be given to you. If you made a line like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, all 6 points are sharply on a straight line. This will give us a food of thought that what the hell is that candidate is doing, by the way, how accurately he can manage to have all the 6 points. when on ground reality is that you will definitely face some sort of friction, some sort of disturbance, some sort of hurdle while measuring and recording a data. So how beautiful you can manage to plot a graph like this one. There will be, like some random scattering, up downs, up downs, up downs, like this line of Basset. Okay, all right. After line of Basset, quality, plot, and access, all these things are done. They will ask you, like draw the line of Basset, then determine the gradient and the y-intercept of line. Here is a point and a food of thought for plotting a graph, for finding a gradient must be for gradient always select two new points from the graph line but not from the table. This is the instruction. For intercept, if false origin is used, then use correct read off from a point on a line and substitute into y is equals to mx plus c. Or another method, use read off of the intercept directly from the graph line if started from origin and intercepting y-axis. And I guess this one everyone can understand. This it's a simple rocket science, because some sort of these sort of situations are also dealt in mathematics as well. So I'm not going to discuss in detail about this one. So gradient intercept, but yes, one thing I do mention. Let me clear this area. Imagine I draw, change the color, a little thickness. Okay, I've drawn a line, right? Now there must be some points over there. Now I have to plot a gradient. What a good candidate will do, he will select a gradient, 1 point from the line, 1 point from the line, because the candidate has mentioned crosses 4, 5, 6, right? So I am highlighting the gradient 2 points which are not from the table, should be from the graph, okay, with the dots. If I have put dots here, then I will make the crosses. Number one. Number two, show us the drop downs. Show us the drop downs. Show us the drop downs for both these points of gradients on x-axis, and similarly on y-axis. Doing so, you can see a kind of a right angle triangle will be made. This is called, guys, gradient triangle. And if candidates select the 2 points of the gradient so close that making a gradient triangle, if the hypotenuse length is smaller than the length of a candidate's response line, you will lose a mark on the gradient. You will lose a mark on the gradient, mark my words. Okay, so be very careful about the gradient. Then obviously this was false origin. Even if it's cutting an x-axis, I will not take the intercept, I will use a substitution method. Finally, when we have plotted the graph, get the gradient, intercept and everything, right, we have to now figure out that some constants as unknowns a and b along with an appropriate unit. Now the equation for this last part, an equation will be given to you and you have to figure it out, this equation, in a form of y is equals to mx plus c. For instance, v2 upon v1 is plotted on y-axis, so it is y-axis. Only x is plotted on x-axis, so it means in the format of y is equals to mx plus c, the gradient is left here. And similarly, in the neighborhood of x, what is left? A upon p. So it means a upon p is x. And after a positive sign, what is left in the equation? Intercept. And what is left over here is q by b. So therefore, separately and clearly tell us that x, which is gradient, right, sorry, gradient m should be there, gradient is equals to a by p, and q upon b is equals to c. First of all, you will write over here in this area, since a upon p is m, therefore the value of a is equals to p multiplied by gradient. P multiplied by gradient, because P and Q are mentioned to us. Column separator, the value of, sorry, the value of B is Q divided by C. Okay, now appropriate units. Although I have mentioned the units, let me figure it out. The unit of P multiplied by gradient, unit of A depending on the unit of P and the unit of gradient. Now the P is ohms, so it is ohm multiplied by unit of gradient stands for unit of y-axis divided by unit of x-axis. I am telling you a journal method, okay? So whatever the unit of y-axis, which is 1, by the way, x-axis is centimeter. So I'm getting ohm cm inverse. The value of unit for A is ohm cm inverse. And finally, in the similar manner, the unit for B, it is ohms, right? And C is y-intercept, which is volt upon volt, means 1, hence ohms. So this is ohm. Take my piece of advice, even because some of you will start question 1, some of you will start question number 2, especially those guys sorry, which start their exam with question number 2. They might finish inshallah within 40 minutes if they have a very good practice. They will finish definitely under 40 to 45 minutes. Then he or she will be, or you guys will be left with 10 to 15 minutes. In those 10 to 15 minutes, you are not supposed to start question number 1, because apparatus will be not provided to you. So what else you can do? You can put the units like this. Why? Because it is mentioned in the paper what is supposed to be plotted on x-axis and y-axis. So can't you figure out the units, guys? Number 1, this is you can done even before starting question number 1. You can put down the units here to save secure 1 mark, and you can label x-axis and y-axis. Obviously you do not label before starting the exam the values on x-axis, but at least you can label x-axis. This one thing you can do before starting the exam. And if someone really has a very good practice, so he can do a third thing, and that is called, you can make a blank table by just looking at the question around and see what are the measurements and start making a blank table. This can be done in the last 10 to 15 minutes. This is a very thoughtful piece of advice. Be careful about it, okay? You can save your time, because while attempting the paper, time management is also a crucial factor, and you have to keep this in mind. Okay, now those who are doing question number 1, no matter how good practice you have, completing the question is again a tough job in 1 hour. With complete table, with complete graph and calculation, you will face a difficulty, like irrespective, if the question is quite easy and you manage somehow the table and everything, then definitely you can cover up in 1 hour. But still, some of you will face difficulty while completing question number 1, because they have started question number 1 in the first attempt, in the first half of the exam duration. So what they gonna do, remember always, because after 1 hour we will take away the apparatus and give you the apparatus for the second question. So those who are starting with question number 1 in their exam, they must complete first of all those columns which are apparatus dependent. Only these 4 columns are apparatus dependent, because T average is done by the calculator, capital T done by the calculator, L1 L2 done by the calculator. So if somehow you just manage these things, right, comfortably, all the 6 values, then you can do your calculations. And even if you find after completing the table the time is over and the examiner or the supervisor will ask you to shift on the question number 2, you are still left with the gradient and intercept and the graph. So remember again, a good practice on question number 2, because eventually you will going to start question 2. And if you have a good practice, then you can finish question 2 under 45 minutes. So still 15 minutes are with you. In those 15 minutes you can work on with the gradient and the rest of the things. This is how you are going to manage your exam paper. I hope you understand how to plot a graph and related things and calculations. It's almost crossing 20 minutes now, but somehow everything I have told you, it's with my experience, because I used to be the exam supervisor in the recent past, and maybe this year as well. So I know all these sort of like pouch approach by the candidate, from the candidate, or during the exam I witnessed. I have this experience, so that's why I'm telling you all these things. All right, so good luck again, and this is almost, we have completed question number one. Few things are left, in inshallah in the next episode we will going to discuss the rest of the things, but they are mostly now related to the question number two. Good luck again, and you have any query, pass it in the comment section, and again, do not forget to share and subscribe and my video on my channel. All right, thank you very much. Allah Hafiz.